All right, welcome back, everybody, to On the Line, a fishing podcast. I'm your host, Tony Boyden, alongside my brother and co-host, Tim Boyden.
How's it going?
I'm pretty fired up tonight because on this episode, it's all about kayaks. So whether you're buying your very first, upgrading to your next, which I'm looking to do myself, or you're hoping to invest in your last, this conversation is built to make you help you make the right choice. So one of the questions I know we see all the time, at least on the Kansas Kayak Anglers Facebook page and other places like Sunflower, really any kayak page I'm on, is the newer people getting into kayaks. They go, I'm looking to buy my first kayak, and I don't know where to start. So tonight we're going to answer some of those questions with some of our awesome guests. First up, we got Travis Randall from Eco Fishing Shop. How you doing, Travis?
Good. How you fellas doing?
Doing good.
And from the Eco Fishing Shop team, Matt Collins. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
So we got two experts in the field, and Tim and we've got some experience, maybe not quite as much as the other two, but we're definitely here to help you answer questions. So if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, even after this is live and just out there on YouTube. We'll try to answer them to the best of our ability. But before we get into the kayaks, I want to give Travis a minute to talk about the Big Bass 250 put on by Eco Fishing Shop, which is October 25th, 2025 at Lake of the Ozarks. And their Camden shop in Missouri. So Travis, do you want to tell us a little bit about what's coming up and what that's all about?
Yeah, so this is this will be the fourth year that we have the Big Bass 250, and really this is something that I wanted to do that is just really based on the anglers, and not just the tournament anglers, but anybody who wants to just get in the community. And if you want to win stuff, I mean, we do $10,000 for one fish. Big Bass is $10,000. I wanted to do that. We also do best five fish. And if it fills up, that'd be another $10,000. If we hit 250, the five fish bag is based on number of entries. The 10,000 is 10,000, no matter how many there's in it. The reason I want to do that is because I wanted to have it where, some guy who just bought a kayak can get in it and has a chance. So you don't have to qualify for it. It's an open tournament. And it's really turned into a national event where I think last year we had 17 states represented. We've had winners. All three winners have been Missouri first year, Chad Davidson. And then we had a fellow from Nebraska. And then we had Stony Floyd from Kansas. So it's been pretty cool. We've been able to spread it around a little bit, but it's a one-day event. And like I said, I want to make it a celebration of the angler. So it's a one-day event, Saturday only. You check in on Friday. And then Saturday night, when you get done fishing, we all go, I rent a venue. We do a full meal, a full awards banquet. And we try to do it up really big. We do a belt for the winner of the Big Bass, and then trophies for the rest. We also do youngest angler and do an award for them. But then we also do giveaways. And I think we've had anywhere $40,000, $50,000 worth of giveaways. I know this year we've got several kayaks, including XTRs and U10s and things like that. So there'll be motors, there'll be power poles, there'll be, we try to give away a little bit of everything. But people can go home with some pretty cool stuff. So $250 entry fee. And we try our best to make sure that everybody gets something that's pretty close to their entry fee. So don't always get it done, but it is a celebration. We've had some pretty big people there from, Dwayne Wally and Steve Owens and some different guys there that have said that, this is kind of what the kayak world's missing.
Yeah, we Tim and I both got to make it out there last year for the first time. We were just blown away. I did feel like I needed to wear a suit to the award ceremony because it was that awesome. I mean, it was the food and the people and the giveaways. I mean, wow. I mean, it was, motors and kayaks and batteries and, all sorts of different stuff. So
Yeah, we try to get all of our vendors involved, and like I said, it's a once a year thing for us. We're not trying to get in do a series or do anything like that. So we're able to really do it up as big as possible. And like I said, we wanted it to be where everybody comes to dinner and hangs out, and you're sitting at a table with guys you don't know, or maybe not even from the same state, but all like-minded people. And like I said, I've had a guy buy a kayak on Thursday and cash a check on Saturday. So yeah, that pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, and Lake of the Ozarks is beautiful too. There's a lot of docks, but different. I mean, you can go in different spots and things like that. I went up river. There was kind of like this little cave I floated into. It was pretty cool.
That was probably Onyx Caves. Yeah, very cool.
I think so. Yeah, I was just happy to be there. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was a blast. So yeah, if anybody wants to see, last year we actually got to interview Sony for this podcast. So check that out. He talked about cashing those big checks and wearing the big belt. So Tim, do you got anything to add to your experience last year?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I've entered probably 60 or 70 tournaments, and that was by far the best tournament that I've ever entered. Just the chance of winning, a free kayak, basically $250. You got a chance. Where else are you going to get that anywhere? Nowhere. And $10,000 for one fish. So, throw your big glide baits or whatever. But yeah, it was absolutely awesome. I do have one question for you, Travis. Is there smallmouth in the main body of water of Lake of the Ozarks?
Not so much in the main. No, you've got to start running up into some of the channels.
Into the channels? Okay, I was just curious. I was going to try to do with smallmouth last year. So,
no, and the cool thing about the tournament is, I'm not a tournament guy. I never have been. But Jonathan, that works for us there at Eco and does a lot of the builds and things like that. Well, he's a tournament guy. So, he tries to make sure that the top guys have the best tournament of their life.
Yep.
But I really focus on the bottom side of the guys. I want the guy who finished the bottom 20 guys in the tournament to say, this is the most fun I've ever had. I'm definitely coming back. Yeah. And that's what we've built. I mean, where it's an experience. I've got guys that are coming 6 or 7 coming from Indiana that it's just so much fun. And that time of year, it's not hard to find a place to stay with Airbnbs and motel rooms. A lot of the big boats are off the water. Really, it's why we do it. We always try to do it the weekend after the Big Bass Bash, which there's 3,500 boats on the lake then. So yeah, man, it's becoming quite an event, and we expect it to sell out this year at 250.
Yeah. So I know it's still a month away or so, but how many do you have registered so far?
I don't have the exact number. I can tell you we're quite a bit ahead of last year, and the first year we had like 96. The second year we had like 128, and last year we had just under 170. So the word's getting out. I know, like I said, we had a lot more guys there. What we'd like to eventually turn it into is where there is vendors and a show on Friday, and then you check in there, and then the next day is your tournament, and there'll be suppliers and manufacturers be at the event as well. I think next year's the year we'll finally get to do that. We have a lot of vendors that want to, and then we also have a civic center being built, so there'll be plenty of room for us next year.
Excellent.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I know. Many anglers, they always wait till like 2 days before the event to sign up.
Oh yeah,
kayak fishing.
Oh yeah.
Wow, there's only 28 people, and then you look the next day and there's 128. So
right.
Pretty standard. Tim, anything else to add?
No, I think we can move on to the next one.
All right.
The one thing I will add, if anybody is interested in that, go to ecofishingshop.com, and you purchase your entry on our website, and then we will send you a link to Tourney X, because that's paid for. You don't have to go in and sign up, and that'll put you on the leaderboard when you go in and sign up. But yeah, just go to ecofishingshop.com or give us a call if you have any questions.
Now, can you pay for it right now because it's $100 deposit, or just pay in full? Like last year, they wanted us to wait to pay.
Yeah, you'll pay in full because the deposit was due early, and then you had to pay it by the 17th of this month. Okay. So it's about over. But but I'll work with anybody. Just like I said, just reach out to me, and I can make sure you can get where you need to be.
Perfect. Is the free paddle still up till the end of September, or when's that done?
I believe it is the end of September. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So sign up early.
Hey, Tony, can I say one thing about the tournament?
Yeah. course.
So I went last year too. I didn't know you guys then, but man, the Ozarks, it can be one of those places for anglers where they're like, man, I don't know about that place because it's so busy, like up until like right now, right? But I will tell you, if you're thinking about traveling to the Ozarks and you want a good time of year to go fish it, like they can't time this thing any more perfectly because the boat traffic isn't crazy. Party boats are already off the water. Um, like we had a couple guys come down from Colorado, and yeah, same as Tim said, it was the best tournament I've ever fished as far as enjoyment and the whole experience and stuff. But if you're thinking like, hey, I'd really want to knock off the Ozarks as like a bucket list, then I would do that one.
There's some big fish in there.
Yeah, and people have asked us if we'd ever move it. It won't ever move because this is where we are. But not that I shouldn't say never. Who knows? But yeah, it's a beautiful body of water, and we call it opening season because most of us that even live here don't fish on this lake until after October 25th. So there's two, and we have two. We're lucky. We've got Pomme de Terre and Stockton and Truman and all that within. And Table Rock all within an hour. So we have plenty of time to let this settle down.
Very nice.
All right, Tim, you want to get into some of the questions?
Yeah. So we'll go to where do you start at, basically. So for someone that comes into your kayak shop, EcoFishing, and says, I need a kayak, what's your very first question that you answer back with?
Where do you like to fish? Do you fish big bodies of water? Are you a river guy? You want something to pond jump with? What do you like to fish with, or do you do it all? That's usually my first question.
Very nice. And then what are some common mistakes that people make when buying their kayaks?
Two things really are stand out in my mind. One is they do not think about how to handle that kayak not in the water. We get people who will buy kayaks and then realize how heavy they are and that maybe they're going to need a trailer. I just had it happen on a couple that bought two Jackson Bite FDs. Well, they struggled getting them from the truck to the water, so they realized that they needed something lighter. So that's a big one, is realizing what it takes to haul it, what it takes to, what your usages are. And then the other thing is, Jonathan and I tell everybody we're the worst accessory salesman in the world. And our reason is because people come in and they just want to start, I need an anchor wizard, I need 2 rod holders, I need this, I need that. I tell everybody, get the kayak on the water, figure out what you need, and then we'll help you out. We'll help you build it from there. But yeah, I think the first thing is just people wanting to, they see it on Facebook or on a reel and they think they got to have everything that's in there. And I tell people to get on the kayak first. If I have somebody brand new and they want fish finders and all that, I tell them, go get on this kayak first, then we'll do the fish finder. Then and we can build it however they think you need to learn your.
Hey, Nick.
How's it going, Nick? Are you I was cutting out a little bit, I think. So go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I didn't know if I didn't hear the last of what Travis said there. I think cut out a little bit myself.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that first is how to deal with the kayak.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to get people to learn their kayak first and not just start off with, live scope. If you've never used it before, if the guy's had all that, then it's different. But if we're talking a new person to the sport, I try to figure out what they're comfortable with but get them comfortable in the kayak first.
Very nice. All right, Tony, you want to take it over from there?
So this is over to kind of Matt and also you, Travis, and Tim, for as anglers who've used them for that. What was your first kayak and what made you choose that? What was your very first one? Maybe if even or just your first kayak one, So
yeah, so my first kayak, it was a fishing kayak. I was actually on my first deployment in 2013, and my boss was like, "Hey, you want to enjoy the military, you need to have a hobby," and his hobby was fishing. So I actually bought my first fishing kayak. It was a paddle kayak. They didn't really have a lot of pedal options then, and it was a Wilderness Ride 135. Still like a great kayak, one of the ones that people just kind of talk about. It's super stable. The seat was more comfortable than what was out at the time, but it was really kind of, you know, the paddle thing gets old, especially when you're. I was in Tennessee at the time, so I was fighting current and all sorts of stuff. And mistakes with that. I don't know what made me really choose it. It was what my boss had, and there weren't a lot of options. Now it's so much. I feel like it's so much harder for guys now because they probably get on Eco Fishing Shop's website and just see like 50 different kayaks, and they're like, I don't know where to start. I had like 3 to choose from. I think it was Wilderness and Jackson at the time, and you know.
Very nice.
So mine was an Ascend 128T, which if you float down the river in a refrigerator box, it's about the same.
I've been on one.
Yeah. And I was a victim of my own mistake, and I had no idea how hard and how heavy that thing was going to be to deal with. And I used it for a while, got pretty sick of it. And a buddy of mine, Brian Nestor, he was a big Jackson guy, and I borrowed his Jackson. And after that, I had a bite, and I've had a bite ever since. I have other kayaks as well, but that Jackson bite's what really got me into it.
Very nice. Like mine was a Trophy 10.6 sit-in, and I got it from my brother for $200 because I didn't think I was going to take it serious, and I was like, "This is the funnest thing I've ever done." I had it rigged up, and then we decided to take a trip on the Kansas River. So I think it was probably a 200-pound weight capacity. I had like 300 pounds of gear because anytime I camp, I have to take everything with me. And surprised I didn't drown in the Kansas River, but I made it, and the rest is history. I kind of just started upgrading through the years after that. I've had about every kind of kayak you can think of. But, yeah, it was quite the experience. I didn't think I'd like it that much, and, yeah, this is where we're at.
I think
Tony?
mine was a Mad River canoe kayak. It was like a 14-footer.
Oh, I remember that.
It was a paddle one. It was like 2018. I bought it used for like $300. And it didn't last me long before I upgraded to my next one, which was still a paddle kayak, but it was a little bit better, a little bit more made for fishing. Originally, I was just like, oh, I just want a kayak. And then I was like, started fishing in my kayak. And I was like, yeah, I need to do this. This is what I want to do. So I upgraded pretty quickly. So, Matt, looking back, what's one thing you would have wished you asked, or you wish you asked before you bought that to yourself?
Well, I guess for that one, I mean, it was good for what I had, like for what the options were out there. I bought a Hobie used in 2020 during like the COVID stuff, and it was a Pro Angler 360, and then I'm with the Old Town Autopilot. But I think the biggest question I wish I would have asked myself is just what Travis said, like, where do I want to take that thing? Mm-hmm. You know, if you have any inkling at all that you want to go run up a river, there are a couple kayaks that are maybe not for you. And likewise, if you're a guy that wants to spot lock in the middle of, you know, some big waves, then there's another set of kayaks that are probably not best, and then there's some ones right in the middle there. So I think it goes down to, like Travis said, figuring out what your style is, and you might not know that yet. So just get something that's good all around. But what do you want to use it for? You know, if you're anywhere near the Gulf, do you plan on going in the ocean? Because that's different right there. That's a whole nother level of skill that you need to handle that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and just to expand on that question is, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, Drew Gregory, when he won the Classic, you know, I know a bunch of guys that were staying with him, and at night he was literally leveling out his kayak. because he had planned on going and fishing where other people couldn't even get to. And that Crescent Shoalie, I mean, that thing is made for that. Now, I'm not getting my autopilot there where he was, and you ain't getting a Tactical Pro or an XTR back in there. So yeah, I try to figure out what kind of fishing people like to do, and go from there. That's why we do it. And then like Matt said, there also are some utilities that they can, the New Canoe Unlimited and the U10. I mean, that kayak, you could kind of turn it into either or. I think that's why that's been such a good year for us on those kayaks, is because, I mean, you could throw an NK, a Newport on the back of it and run up a river. You can throw a Minn Kota on the front of it and have your spot lock. You can run 2 people in it. You can run, So yeah, we try to figure out what people want to do with it and then try to help them. And then the other thing I will tell you that I always push people on is, if you have an opportunity wherever you're at to do a demo, we do a lot of them. And we sell a lot of kayaks because of that. Because if you want to try out 2 or 3 kayaks, get with your local dealer. If you don't have one, get with us. We'll help out any way we can. But yeah, definitely demos are the way to go.
Yeah. And a lot of times the guys, like with our Kansas kayak anglers, will be like, hey, if you want to come out and try one out when we're, after a tournament or something, or, maybe the day before, if we're out there, come out and, we can get you in one, see if you like it. Because, you don't really sometimes just like, I got in that Old Town. I was just kind of like, I think I'd have to get used to being a little bit more narrow than my Hobie, but stability wise, wow. Like I actually felt it was more stable. I was really impressed. So
yeah, you can get up and stand on the side of that thing.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive. So do you have any things back when you bought your first kayak, Travis, you would have?
I was enamored with all the wiring because it was already yak powered.
Mm-hmm.
So I was enamored with all that stuff. And like I said, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this and that and the other. And then when I got it, it was just so big and so heavy. I tend to be a river guy. I would much rather fish the river than lakes. So it was the total wrong kayak for that. And, but I liked it. It was a deal. They make them 12 miles from my house. So, there's always good deals on them around here. I liked it. It was good enough to get me in the sport, but it's the same thing I tell people when they say, oh, I just got a Walmart piece of junk kayak I'm embarrassed to tell you about. I'm like, no, because if you bought that kayak and you like it, I'm the next step, So everybody who's done that, whether it's marketplace or whatever, I think we have no problem with that, because that's finding the people who love it, and that's what that kayak did for me.
And something to add to that, Tony, is if you're over 40, get a suspension seat.
Yeah, you took mine. That's what I was going to say.
And a kayak cushion.
That was my very first mistake that I learned very quickly, is a good seat. The first kayak I bought, I mean, it had a padding on the seat. It was a sit-in like that thick. And if you don't have good padding, check out kayak cushions. They're really good. But
yeah,
I didn't have one at that time.
We sell them at Eco Fishing Shop.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got them for free last year at the Big 250. Yeah.
Yep.
I've got
That's on my backrest. I have one for my back and one for my butt. So
there you go.
On there.
But that'd be the same thing. I would say that was the biggest mistake I didn't think about, was a seat, because I was, I wasn't thinking about that. And especially the kayak I couldn't stand up in. So, I was sitting all day, and, it does take a toll on you, especially when you want to fish for 8 hours. Right. So a seat's very important, and there's some good ones out there now.
Absolutely.
So you guys kind of already said this, but starting with new or used, I think everybody pretty much started with the used one, except Matt. Did you say you bought it new?
Yeah, it was new.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good way to start too. Sometimes, like if you're trying to be budget friendly, a used one can be a good, and you get your feel and you're like, okay, yeah, I don't want this one. Let me sell this one and buy another one. So let's think about some key considerations. Tim, do you want to go there?
Yeah, so basically like stability versus speed. How should buyers think about the trade-off between the two? Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I probably got the most the kayak that best fits this bill, which is the Autopilot 136 from Old Town. The spot lock on that thing, you hit it and boom, it is dead on. You're not budging. It's one of the slower ones out there, though. So there's a trade-off with that. I actually launched at Havasu for Bassmaster next to Drew Gregory. And, I mean, it was just night and day, us going out in the river when we were fishing there. And there was an XTR next to us that we had to help load up, too. But there is definitely a trade-off there. I think you just have to figure out what you want to do. I'm one of those scoping guys that loves to go offshore and do that. I'll also say if you do fish the ocean, or even like, you know, the northern states where you get a lot more of those waves, maybe something like that's way more stable out in that open water is the safety thing is huge, you know. But stability versus speed, there's good options in the middle of them, like the PDL Pro. You know, you can stick a Tarova on the front of it and you can do spot lock, or you can stick a Newport on the back and now you can go fast as everybody else. So I think there's options out there for what you want to do, but it's really the stability thing is huge. And really, like what you're talking about, the seat, I think another thing is when you test out a kayak, if you can demo one, do it. But if you can test a kayak out, stand up in it, and it might not be super comfortable right away because it might take people, you know, a couple trips to really kind of get their sea legs under them, if you will. But being able to stand up for 10 minutes every hour, that really helps your back, you know, on an 8-hour day. So if you have a kayak that you can stand up in, you know, fishing the bank or whatever, that definitely helps your back when you're fishing a 2-day tournament down the road.
Sure.
I'll tell you why I always lean towards stability. Because I think one common misconception in the kayak world, especially with guys who are just looking to get into it, is the difference between a fast kayak and a slow kayak is one's 3.5 to 4 mile an hour and one's 4.5 to 5.5 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not talking, you know, amazing amounts of speed. You know, if you're getting 6 mile an hour, you're getting it, you know? So, you know, it's not a huge thing. You know, between the like NK 180 and the NK 300, you're talking about a 0.5 mile an hour. But the difference is, you know, on stability, I think it keeps people in the sport because especially, you know, you get people out there and you get wobbly and all that. It gets a little more scary. So I always lean towards stability, especially for newer people, but, and your guys like Matt and you guys that do them, you know, you're used to it. And so now all of a sudden you can start thinking about speed. You know, you're like, okay, I'm comfortable and I want to beat Drew Gregory out of the blocks, you know? So you can start looking at that stuff, but, you know, stability is a pretty big factor, especially when somebody's looking to get into the sport.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, it's stability as well. I'm the stupid guy out on the point, the windiest point on the lake, fishing, and I've got $5,000 worth of gear, and I don't want to flip my kayak. So stability will always win in my book. I mean, you flip that over, even though everything's tethered, you may not be saving it. So that's one thing to think about. Yeah. So stability for me, Tony.
Yeah, I agree. Stability. Now that I've had mine for like 3 years now, I started out with just a pedal in my Hobie. And then after I got back from the 10 Killer Championship, the Bassmaster Championship, and went like 80 miles in a week practicing, I came back and ordered a trolling motor. And of course, I ordered the trolling motor that no longer make, which is the XI3. So it's been a good motor, but now I'm ready to go. I need to go faster. So
but that week you had to change your pants because your legs got so big from 80 miles of
yeah.
yeah.
Well, there was one day that the wind kicked up and I had gone across the lake, and then when I went back, I honestly took the shortest route across, but if I would have had a trolling motor, I definitely would have went up a ways at a different spot. But I was so exhausted, I decided to cross, and it was very scary. One of the only times I thought I was going to flip my kayak. and a wave would hit me and it would kind of twist sideways, and I would just be like, yeah. So I that was less about the pedaling, more about having the energy at the end of the day, which having a trolling motor really helped with that, to go that little extra. So.
Well, and somebody looking to get into tournaments, I always tell them to, it's the classic tortoise and the hare. You know, a pedal drive kayak's faster than a motorized kayak. I mean, you can get with it on a pedal drive kayak, but I can go all day at 4.5, 5 mile an hour, in my autopilot. So yeah, you can do both. I mean, there's a guy that fishes here that he actually won the 250 the first year. He was not the guy who got the big bass, but he won it the first year. He was in a paddle Jackson bite, and he was a force in Moyak. He was great. But Dorman Ugly was his name, or is his name, and he didn't want to switch because he said, I get into a cove and I fish it out because I don't got time to paddle anywhere else. And it did him well. I think guys forget that a lot. Stony Floyd, great example. He borrowed my kayak for the 250 last year, and Jonathan took all my electronics off because he thought Stony was going to bring his. Well, he didn't, and he fished without electronics, and he said he thinks that's why he won because, he wasn't sitting there messing with anything. He was just fishing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one will be pedal drive versus paddle versus motor ready. What's the best fit for different anglers? Like for, let's say, river fishing versus giant bodies of water, like, Palestine or wherever.
So river guys, that also depends on what rivers, because like here in Missouri, I just fished the rivers this weekend, and everything's so far down that I was tugging it around quite a bit. So on that case, I take my Jackson bite with nothing else. But I'll tell you what a lot of guys are doing now is they're doing like those U10s or Jacksons, or really anybody, RVRs, whatever, and they're putting like an NK 180 on it where they can shoot up the river, then float back to their vehicle, and you don't have to carpool all over the place. So nice. I think for the river guys, it's going to be something that will go skinny. The RVR is an awesome kayak from Bonafide. The Slayers are great. My only thought, and Matt, you can pipe in too, but Old Town, I think that's the only spot they're missing right now is having a good river kayak. They've got just your plain paddle, but yeah. And then big water, I think that, your XTRs, your autopilots, your pro anglers from Hobie, I think that's the big water stuff. And I think if you want something that's in the middle, that'll do a little bit of everything. A couple of kayaks to look at is going to be the New Canoe Unlimited, the New Canoe U10, the Jackson Coosa X is looked over a lot. That's a great kayak that'd be great for either or, and the Crescent Shoaly.
Very nice. I've got a Hobie Lynx I use for my little pond jumper. We have walk-in fishing areas we can fish up here, and I go, it'll literally glide over the top of moss and grass. You pull your pedal drive up and you're gone. You have to stop yourself. And so I get into places other people just can't get into with that. But I just seen a recent YouTube video of a guy that took it out to the ocean, and he rolled it twice on his way back in. Oh, yeah. And it showed the camera and him up. Did you see that under the water? And he's trying to flip it back over. And it was like, well, that's terrifying. But yeah, I don't know. What about the Susquehanna? What do you think would be a good setup on the Susquehanna that would, because those guys, I see them dragging their kayaks, and I also see them with maybe like stern mount, maybe.
Yeah, I think the Shoaly would be a really good one for that body of water.
Yeah.
I also think the Unlimited would be really good. Yeah, and that Coosa X, even something made for moving water. The Shoaly's that's where the Shoaly's going to shine pretty good. And like I said, the Shoaly and the Coosa X and some of those, that's kind of a utility kayak where you can build it up, take it down. Great for a river event, great for big water as well. Kind of use it for multi-purpose.
Okay, Tony, you want to take the next question?
We're on the. I do want to say that for some, the paddle and the pedal or the motor is a pretty good choice. I don't know how many times I've relied on my pedals when something happening to my motor. Probably at least 3 or 4 times. And that was really, really good to have that backup of like, oh, I can just pedal now. Except when you hit a tree, you break your motor, and then you 2 minutes later, your steering rudders break on your kayak. So
yeah, he had a bad tournament. You want to tell him about your little tournament where you're going 7 miles an hour through a tree field?
I was going like 3 miles an hour, and it was a lake covered with trees, and the tree was about 6 inches underneath the water, but it was only about that big around. And I hit it dead on, and my motor goes cloop right over the front. It actually didn't break my motor, but it ripped the motor mount on my Hobie out of the front screws. And I was like, well, I'm not going to obviously use it. So I was able to pull it up out on the water and kind of get it locked in. And I kind of used the rope and kind of tied it down so it'd stay there before anything else broke. And then I literally was like, well, I guess I'll just pedal back to the boat ramp. I wasn't that far. And then all of a sudden my steering rudder cable broke. And so I was going in circles. So then I had to pedal. It was windy too, by the way. I had to pedal and steer with my third option, which was my paddle. So I like to have backups because that's the kind of stuff that happens to me.
So, yeah.
And that I'd also say you brought up a good point there, because a lot of guys or guys and gals, they'll neglect the paddle thing altogether. And by that, I'm not saying like they won't buy one. I'm saying they buy the cheapest thing that they can. Yeah. And if you ever need, especially like my autopilot, if I ever needed to paddle that thing, I can paddle it pretty well, but I've got a decent bending branches paddle. It's not super expensive, but it's way better than like the Magellan one you're going to see a lot of guys carrying around.
Yeah.
Or something like from Walmart or something, where really, like, if you have to use your paddle, you're probably in a situation where like you want that thing to work. And even if you're spending $80 to $100 over, the time you need it, you're going to be glad you spent it. So.
Yeah, I tell everybody to look at that Backwater Assassin by Yak Gadget, because or Yak Gear, excuse me, because it has a serrated edge, and if you have a pedal drive or a motor drive, 99% of the time you're using your paddle to push off.
Yep.
And so that's a great paddle for that, but then also performs excellent when you need to paddle. But that's another question. When we're talking about new anglers. Also, find out if they're car topping, if they're putting in the truck, whatever they're doing, so they know what size kayak to get. But where they have a benefit, where people get into the sport now, a benefit that probably a lot of us did not, is kayaks like the Sportsman 120 Pro that just came out, the PDO, is completely set up for motor mounts on the front and back. A lot of kayaks are coming where now they have the mounts to where like Matt had said earlier, you can upgrade that kayak, and we tell people that all the time. Listen, if you want to get into a motorized kayak, but right now your budget is a pedal drive kayak, well, we can put a motor on that next year if you want. And I think that a lot of the kayak brands are making all the kayaks very riggable.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another question, like, where another thing I had was, I'm the same as Tony. I have to have a backup pedal drive just sitting either in my hatch or somewhere in case something happens. So just in case, prepare for anything.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing for me to go to something with just a trolling motor, like that doesn't have those pedal options, because of that reason right there. It's because I don't want to be left stranded in paddling. I don't like paddling, especially if it's a bigger kayak, which is what I want. So it's like, for my needs. But next question is seat comfort and deck layout. Does that matter a lot, Matt? Do you?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. You're going to sit in that thing you go to a 2-day tournament, you're there, 4 days probably, pre-fishing 2 days, or even if it's 2 days. Like one day you can maybe get by with a lot of stuff. 2 days, you're gonna start feeling it by like 10 a.m. There's some good options out there. We already mentioned like kayak cushion. That's one that's good. There's also seat risers. That's another thing that's kind of important. Some kayaks sit a little bit lower from the factory, and there's some third-party seat risers out there. It seems like the trend is that everything's kind of coming up a little bit. My only concern with that is your center of gravity also goes a little higher. So if you're in that bumpier water, you're a little bit maybe more susceptible to tipping over. But I think that's important. Deck layout, I think you just build it as you go. You know, we're all guilty of watching YouTube and watching everybody's dream builds and being like, I want exactly that. And I know, like, how many people bought like live scope and a couple 93 SVs because Christine had an awesome kayak. I mean, that's sweet. But that's her setup, and you know, that might not be right for you. So I think you get out there and try it out, see what you like, and then add it. You know, you might not be a person that needs 2 graphs. You might just want 1 graph that's a little bit larger. That's kind of how I am right now. But I don't know. Yeah. Also, I think on the pedal thing, like you were saying, just to go back to that real quick, you can buy, like what you're saying, on like the 120 PDL Pro. You could get that as just a pedal drive, and you're good. And then let's say that you want to go offshore. Now you maybe buy, you know, a Tarova up front. Or you say, hey, I want to go on the river. Now you buy a Newport, Torquedo, whatever. You get to the point where maybe like you started off at your you know, weekend thing around your house, and then you're working up to the nationals where maybe you're carrying 2 different options for trolling motors. Like we were at 10 Killer together, and it's like, hey, there's parts of that lake that, you know, a bow mounted option might be the best. And there's part of the lake, you know, you can go all the way up the river. So maybe a Newport's a better option at that point. So I think what's cool is now they're scalable. Like you can go out there with none of that. You don't even need a graph. You can go up in the river with your pedal drive and just have a good time. Or you can build it all the way out to whatever you need and just take that on the road with you. So I think there's so many options right now that maybe that's something to look at too, is just, can I build this thing out to anything? You know, that's kind of where I'm at right now for next year. I'm probably just going to build something that, you know, maybe I throw a bow mount on one day, and then the next, or I throw a Newport on to practice and cover a bunch of water, and then I find a spot and I throw a bow mount on to just spot lock. So,
yeah, and I'll tell you, Matt hit something really good too. I was one of those guys that when we first brought the seat risers in, I'm in an autopilot as well, and I was like, well, I don't need seat risers, it's fine. But I bought the rear only, and you sit. I always tell people on a lot of kayaks, you sit in them because you sit down almost, you know, like in a lawn chair. You know, you sit down in it. Well, putting that rear seat riser on basically made my seat level, and now I can just lean forward and stand straight up. I don't have to put my hands down and, you know, try to get out of it a little bit. So little things like little fine tuning things like that. They'll make the difference on whether your back hurts when you get done, or your ass is wet, or whatever. You know, you can. There's little things like that you know, somebody made out of PVC and figured it out, and then somebody else took it and ran with it and built it. And as far as building them out, yeah, they're able to do that. That's what's nice about it. With really all of these brands, you could actually have a motor on the front, motor on the back. You could run them both at the same time if you wanted. I mean, I'm not talking tournament guys. You have to see what's allowed, but I mean, you could run both. You could run one or the other. You can take it all with you and tailor it to the body of water. That's the beauty of kayaks now, where back in the day when we were drilling holes and putting backer board on everything, you know, you can't move that. So yeah, I definitely think that the game is really set up for somebody to come in, buy a nice kayak, and then you don't have to get rid of that kayak next year if you decide to go to a motor. You can build that kayak and turn it into anything you want.
So that big Bass 250, are you allowed to have 2 motors?
I believe so. I'll check that for sure.
What about 3?
No.
No nitrous. Okay, got it.
No nitrous.
Yeah, we all kind of touched on seat comfort and deck layout. I know for me too, what you guys touched on was, you know, I bought my kayak. It's pretty much bone stock, nothing on it. Like it was a really nice used 2016 Hobie with pedals, with the old school pedals, no reverse, nothing. I ended up upgrading the pedals to get reverse, which was nice. And then I added a nice graph. And then I added a motor. And then I added some other accessories like a nice Yak Attack crate, a big one, and rod holders and just things like lights, you know. So, you know, there's still things I actually am like, I need to change this on my kayak or change that. I'm going to, 2026 season. Am I going to bite the bullet and buy a new one? I'd really like to. I'm not sure what I'll be getting, but I'm hoping to come and visit you, Travis, and maybe around March or so. So
yeah, we'll put you in a few and let you see what you like.
I see they're at MUX at Lake of the Ozarks in March, so maybe I'll come look at them then.
There you go.
And also, Tony, one thing that I enjoy doing is over wintertime when there's nothing going on, sit in your kayak for like 2 hours and just adjust everything. Like you're out in a tournament, graphs here. Okay, this needs adjusted. This needs adjusted. This pulley goes here. This rope goes here. My rod goes here. I'll sit 2 or 3 hours in the garage, just sit there and mess around with different configurations. So, my net gets tangled in here, or just try to figure stuff out. That kind of helps quite a bit too. So
yeah, that's great advice, because like I said, deck layout, like Matt said, is kind of subjective. I mean, it's how you do it. So looking at it online and saying, okay, I want a captain's bridge, I need 2 monitors, figure it out first. Get out there on the water, figure out what you need. We've had that a lot on the XTR. Guys want to go with the captain's bridge and monitors, and they're like, well, now how do I get up on that front deck? We're like, yeah, you're gonna have to step over all that.
Yep.
So just because one guy did it doesn't mean it works for you, and just fine tune it to what makes it best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get on Tim's kayak and I'm like, oh man, why do you have this over here? That doesn't even make sense to me. Because mine's on the right side and his is on the left side, or where I have my, live scope pole mounted, or, things like that. So yeah, I think everybody is kind of like I would guarantee if we looked at all of our cell phones, they'd all be different cell phones with different cases and different covers, and kickstands and pop-ups or pop-outs, what do they call those things? And yeah, so that way, it just kind of what suits you best. So
yeah, and like you said, I think it's a great idea to go sit in your kayak and just figure it out, because I mean, a lot of guys are like, where do I put my net? Well, that'd be a good idea to figure that out before you got a fish on the line. So
100%.
Yeah, it's great advice.
I think I agree with that statement.
Oh, Eagle Claw, little love. Nice.
Yeah, and I think Chase and Derek also said hi, so give them a
Oh,
shout.
what's up, guys? I saw Nick in here earlier. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, Colorado's representing. All right.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah.
So kind of weight and transport, you kind of talked about, that was one of your questions you asked people at the beginning. Like how do you balance that kayak size with your ability to load and unload? I've thought about some of the first kayaks I had, putting in the back of the truck, having to have a, like the T-bone extender, hitch extender, getting a trailer, things like that. So, yeah, how do you balance kayak size?
Really, it's just like you said, find out the body of water and find out how they're hauling it. I mean, we got a lot of people who car top. Well, car top is going to be, a little bit different depending on the person, and so just figuring out what works, what their methods are going to be, help them through all that. And just figuring out, what is the best kayak that they can use, because if you buy the best kayak that, that'll do everything you want, but now you can't load it. Now all of a sudden there's a problem. So we try to kind of work all those kinks out, because I'm sure you guys can all attest. You walk into the shop, we probably have the largest fishing kayak store in the country. I mean, I think I have 53 kayaks on display right now, all fishing kayaks. So you walk in and it's just like when you go look at campers or you go look at anything else, you're going in looking for a 16-foot. By the time you're done, you're like, okay, 33 foot's what I got to have, and that's what happens in the kayak shop. You come in looking for just something, and then you end up going up and up, and you just got to make sure it works for you. And we try to help with that, make sure that people know what they're going to have to do. if they need a wilderness cart or a Yak Attack, tow and stow, to get it to the water, whatever that is, we just try to get all those kinks out before they actually walk out the door with it.
That's a great question that I don't think I had on my list. I guess I did a little bit about some rigging services, but thinking about the mobility and different size, wheels for it, right? Like landing gear versus just a quick, slide it underneath, So you guys offer quite a bit of different styles of kayak dollies, correct?
Pretty much all of them. Yeah, we do. Yeah. We do wilderness. We do Suspends has some pretty good ones. Malone has some pretty good ones. Yak Attack has several different ones. We have all those. We carry the Hobie products. We carry them all, and we also do all the landing gear. I think that is also one of those deals that just is up to you. I mean, if you're a guy that's not going far, then the wilderness system cart or one of those styles is going to be pretty easy. And I think it's also in how you rig your kayak. I like the landing gear. I think once you get pretty heavy, that's a lot to ask out of a plastic boat. So you have to be careful with that. But yeah, I think there's so many options now to help you that it just makes it pretty easy. As long as we know what you're doing, we can help you figure it out.
Tony, I got a question to ask, and Matt, I'll start with you. What's like your number one accessory on your kayak that you couldn't live without?
Probably a black pack. Black Pack Pro. That thing came out because I had the old one.
Yeah.
It's just you can.
First Alert Chief Meteorologist Ron Hurst, a new for your area.
Tony apparently has a tornado in his area.
All right, cool. We got hail here, so I guess it's just coming your way. No, I think the Black Pack Pro is, for me, it's like it does everything I need. I can put stuff in it. I can put my rods on the outside of it. The little track packs are cool that you can throw on top of them now. It's pretty waterproof. I know, like, they don't say it's completely waterproof, but I mean, it's pretty weather resistant out there. I'll put like my rain jacket in there and it's not really getting wet. But if there's the first thing that I was going to buy besides a life jacket, that's it. So
very nice. Travis, I got actually two questions for you. What's one thing that you on a kayak couldn't live without? And then what's your number one seller in your store for like an accessory?
What I couldn't live without would probably be my Yak Attack net. I've lost a lot of fish because of forgetting my net. And, I love my black pack as well, but if I forgot my black pack, I could still fish without it. The net has cost me several fish. So I'm going to say that. And I'd say probably the best just average accessory is going to be your Omega Pro rod holders and cup holder. But I would say the black pack is probably the hottest item that we have that we try to, that has a way of organizing you. And I think that tends to be a problem on a kayak is guys that aren't organized. You end up with stuff everywhere and in the water, out of the water. The black pack helps me keep everything together. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, before I was at Eco, I didn't wear a life jacket as much as I should. And then I think the life jacket is a huge deal. And for anybody that struggles to wear one, do what I did, man. I turned it into part of my tackle box. Hemostats are here, clippers are here. I keep this here, I keep that there. And if you can turn it into something where, okay, I can't fish without my life jacket because that's where I keep all this and that, it makes it easy to always remember to keep it on.
Very nice. That's a good tip. Tony, is there something that you couldn't live without?
Well, I don't want to steal everybody else's, but I started out with I bought one of those $25 Harbor Freight crates, just budget friendly, right? And then I got a Yak Attack, like the 16-inch this year. I don't know what I was thinking, not having that. That thing is amazing.
Every time Tony would go out, I see his rods just sitting there with no tethers, and I'm like, dude, if you flip your
built-in rod holders and the retaining ears on here and stuff. Yeah, I mean that's pretty amazing. Also my net.
Here's a funny question. How long have the three of you been kayak fishing?
Probably 7 years.
Yeah, about the same.
12.
Okay, I've been doing it about 30. And I can tell you, I was the coolest guy anywhere around 30 years ago because we all had milk crates, Highland Dairy. We'd use milk crates. Well, in Springfield, Missouri, there was a limousine. They built limousines. Well, there was a guy that worked there that was really good, and he would take another milk crate, cut the top off of it, and basically make a black pack the way it is now. And we all had them. And then you'd have the old white, Walmart rod holders on the side.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of the young guys, everything you see on a kayak, we made out of PVC pipe years ago. I mean, rod holders and captain's bridges and all that stuff. But the milk crate was a pretty important part of kayak lore.
Very nice.
It's so true to the kayak's origin stories, right? Kayak fishing is DIY, and it's still true to this day. I mean, I have a lot of DIY stuff, but I also too had a Highland Dairy crate in my very first kayak, and I was doing river fishing at the time, and I actually made a seat that folded up out of wood, so I could use it take it out and sit in the sand with it.
There you go.
It was pretty cool, but it's still not as cool as my black pack.
Oh yeah,
it's really nice. I'm glad I upgraded.
Another important thing too is a tether for your tools, because my first trip last year in my little pond jumper, I did not have my pliers tethered. I caught the fish and I did the classic video thing, and I just threw the pliers into the water, and I looked down and I had the fish in my hand just like the videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I didn't have pliers the rest of the day. So tethers are a must too for me, because get sidetracked. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about this, but hauling your kayak and stuff. But I mean, I haul mine on a trailer, a kind of DIY trailer I made. I know you guys offer you still offer the Bear trailers, the Fish Texas trailers there?
We do.
And do you offer any other trailers, or those the two you offer?
Yeah, we do Malone as well.
Malone, that's the other one. Yeah.
And Malone, we ship a lot of Malone because we can't ship the Bear or the Fish Texas trailers because they're complete. But yeah, Bear, we do a lot of Bear trailers.
Yeah, they're good trailers. I've seen them when I was there last time. They're really nice, and so are the Fish Texas, and the Malones are really lightweight as well, and they're good, solid trailers as well. So
I've got, can I speak on the trailer? Because I started on a rooftop. I had an Explorer, so I had a rooftop, and then I had a truck, so I was in the back of the truck without an extender. I think you can get by with like a Hobie PA12, maybe not, depending on your truck bed size. You don't really need an extender there. Once I went to the autopilot, I needed a bed extender. So I went to a dynamic dolly. I did that, which is basically like a mini hand launch trailer, but it's all like metal PVC construction. It's light and it's nice, but they're super expensive for what they are. Then I wanted a trailer, so I got a Fish Texas trailer, and I love it. But what I would say is, I have a trailer, but there's still times that I also have a wilderness cart, because especially out in Colorado, depending on what lake you're fishing, California is probably the same way a lot of times, is there's regulations on when you can put trailers in the water. So your tournament might start at 6 a.m., but you can't launch a trailer at that lake until 7. In some of these states, you guys don't have that problem in your neck of the woods, but in ours, it is a pain. So that's one thing to consider is, I've definitely, driven a trailer with everything rigged out. I throw it on my cart and then I cart it down like I would. But I will say it is super nice to, in the morning, load all the rods on it, especially like while they're waiting for the gate to go up at, wherever, boat ramp is or whatever, and then just shoot it in and go. I love it. What I would say is, if in Colorado also we fish some of these mountain lakes where the roads are awful. A lot of people think like a jet ski trailer that you can fix up. If you know what you're doing, I think that maybe that's a good option for you. If you know how to pack bearings, do the maintenance that's going to be required on that. Even with some of the lighter stuff, that's fine if you know how to maintain it. I think a lot of guys think, hey, I can get a trailer for $100 on Facebook, and I can go drive it down the highway at 75 miles an hour, and then I can go drive through the mountains on these bumpy roads. And you're going to hate fishing because you're not going to get to go fish because you're going to be on the side of the road handling that problem that you just put yourself in. So I would say if you are going to go the trailer route, really research that. There's a lot of good cart options out there. There's a lot of good trailer options out there, but like anything, research what you're doing before you just think, oh, it's a cheap fix, and then you end up buying 2 trailers. Because I did that. I bought a cheap trailer, and then I ended up buying a not cheap trailer. So
I've seen so many trailers like that on the side of the road and have helped so many people. Mine actually has like a 3,500-pound axle underneath it.
Yeah, right.
For that exact reason. And I would add to that if you do get a trailer that's used like that, first thing you should do, take it to a reputable trailer shop, have them completely go through the axle, and at least you know you're good for a while. Like, with grease it, check all the bearings. You can't do that yourself. Definitely do. I've got a great trailer shop that's like 5 minutes from my house, and it's like they're awesome. Like if I could send everybody there, I would, but obviously they're far too far for other people. But
the other thing that I usually tell people to do if you're buying a jet ski trailer, because we have them everywhere here, because it's like the Ozarks. If you're buying one of those little yacht club trailers or something like that, spend the money, have them extend the tongue 18 inches, because it's so short that backing it up is a nightmare. Yeah. And if you extend that tongue out, it helps a lot.
Yep.
Buy once, cry once. Just go see Travis at Eco.
That's the other thing is
backing down that ramp.
Yeah, that's the other thing. When you're doing that is think about, I sell a really nice, ready to go trailer for $2,100.
Yeah.
Well, if you find one for $400 or $500, and then you got to rewire it, and then you got to pay to have it done, and then ours are all rhino lined or Kodiak coatings, what it's called. It's never going to rust. You think about the difference and what you got spent, what you're spending, and what you got, and what's out there.
Yeah. And I think if it's the ones I'm thinking of, they're a little bit heavier duty than a jet ski trailer too. A lot heavier duty.
Quite a bit. And we do the custom wheels and all that.
Yeah.
Like I said, for $2,100, it's hard to beat that trailer.
It really is. So.
Yeah, I check my bearings. Tony knows this because I was with a guy and his bearings seized up on his boat trailer, and we were there for like 4 hours. So I'm religious. I do my bearings every 4 months. I re-grease them every 4 months religiously. So I don't mess around with that stuff. But
I took my trailer all the way down to Lake Havasu, which is a 21-hour drive, where you were at too, Matt, there earlier in the year, and took it all the way back. And not him, but a different brother. I was sleeping and wake up, he'd be doing 95, and never had a problem with my trailer. So never heating, never bearing. So good trailer maintenance is really key. And if you can't do it yourself, definitely find somebody that's reputable, and make sure and tires too. Carry a spare tire. I pack. Coolest thing I saw was the guy took bearings, races, seals, and he put them in a vacuum seal bag, put grease in them, and then vacuum sealed the bag so they don't get dirty, dusty, anything like that, and threw them in his toolbox. So I do that now too.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, when you're looking to buy a trailer, that's kind of one thing we run into a little bit when you're looking at like the Malones, because you can get into a Malone for $1,000. But it's going to have 8-inch tires, and it's going to be built for somebody hauling, a couple of lifetimes kayaks, or just sit-ins, touring style kayaks that are really light. And it's not made to go down the highway at 75, 80 mile an hour. So, it's made for somebody to drive from their subdivision to the water, things like that. There's a use for them. They're good trailers, but that's, you just can't try to be cheap
Yeah.
on a trailer when you're hauling the kind of kayaks that we have. And we go through that all the time, where people will buy even the car toppers that put your kayak at an angle. They're like, well, I can get both my autopilots up there. I'm like, no, that's those aren't made for that. These will bend that in half. So
you won't have a kayak when you get to the lake.
Yeah,
right size for the vehicle too, the tow vehicle, right? So you don't want to, if you got a little Geo or Metro, old Geo Metro, you don't want to be hauling a big old dual fish Texas trailer, right? So make sure you got the right tow vehicle too when you're hauling a trailer, because it does really affect your gas mileage. Doing 95 pulling 2 kayaks on a trailer really decreases fuel economy.
Well, you got to mitigate aggravation.
Yeah.
Get your setup to where it's smooth. So if you're fighting it all the time, it's just going to run you out of the sport, or you're just going to get sick of it. So you just mitigate aggravation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We kind of talked about the other stuff, but what about batteries? We haven't really talked about batteries yet. Typical battery setups. Whether it be for a trolling motor or electronics, do you guys have a favorite go-to for batteries? Recommendations?
I like Amped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Amped is really leaned into the kayak world. Dakota Lithium is another good one. Amped has really come on pretty strong for us this year. And it's really, as far as battery sizes and things that people should use, I think it really depends. Everybody kind of gets that Tim the Toolman Taylor thing, power. Jonathan fishes as much as anybody else, and he uses a 60 amp hour. So, you don't have to have a 100 amp hour. You got to figure out how you fish first. Probably the biggest mistake on batteries that new guys make is you 100% have to have 2 batteries if you're running electronics. You cannot run the motor and your fish finder to the same battery. It'll cause interference on your fish finder. So we're not just trying to sell you an extra battery. You got to have them separate.
Yeah. Especially if you're running like LiveScope or something too.
Yeah. We'll get guys who will call and say, man, I've got this graph and I can't figure it out. Well, then we find out that they're only running 1 battery. And every time they hit their motor, it gets interference. So
the amp, I think it's a 50 amp hour, 16 volt they have. That's like really, really compact. That is just like an awesome battery. So I think it comes with a battery charger and everything. It's one of the best deals out there, because battery chargers are expensive.
Oh yeah, and that's the one thing I still don't quite understand on these lithium batteries, and I should, since it's what I do. But like I have a 135 amp hour. That is about half the size of the same Dakota Lithiums. It's about half the size as the 100 amp hour. So I don't know why that is, why they can make them in that package. But and I think too much battery is, I know you never want too much, but like for your electronics, we'll get guys that are wanting a 60 amp hour for that. And man, 15 or 20 is going to do it. You don't need that much. But just, I'd call a reputable shop and just go over, how many amps it's pulling, figure it out.
If you have a choice between a Bluetooth and a non-Bluetooth battery, I made the mistake of just buying one without Bluetooth because it was a little cheaper, and just that sense of that assurance that you have juice left in your battery. Just being able to look at your phone and say, oh yeah, I'm at 50% or 75%, whatever. Oh no, I'm at 10%. I probably should get back to the boat ramp, right? I don't have that on mine currently. I plan on upgrading next year, but making sure that it's Bluetooth ready and capable so that you can check the status of your battery. Just to have that feeling of like, okay, yeah, I'm good. So.
Well, and I'll tell you, for guys that are in your situation, Amps does sell just the Bluetooth portion, and you can use it with any battery. So you could actually, you can. It mounts right to the top of your battery.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it's like $59, something like that. It's not outrageous, but I am like you. I like being able to check up on it.
Yeah,
Matt,
especially if you've got a lithium battery you already dumped some money into, and you're like, hey, I want to see like that little adapter. It just like goes on the terminals up top there for you for amps. I've got one of their Bluetooth ones, and I've got a Dakota Lithium and an amp, and I'm with Travis. Like the app is awesome because 2 hours in the river on your battery is there it is.
You're sold out,
you
Travis.
There you go.
Hold on, let me buy it. No, I can't buy it. It's sold out.
I know a guy.
I will say that app's awesome because 2 hours on the river at Lake Havasu is way different than 2 hours on a calm day in the middle of my lake. And I don't know. I'm in an autopilot, so that's my only method unless I want to paddle, and I don't want to. So so I use that thing all the time. I'll use it for practice when I want to see how much battery am I going to use to get to my first spot, because then I know if I want to go on 10 the whole way there or if I want to dial it back to save some battery. So that's cool. And then the charging connectors, that is like a huge thing to me. If your charger is $1,000 and it comes with cheap alligator clips that break, I'm sorry, that is subpar. Amps for the price. It comes with the what are they? The Anderson plugs, I think.
Anderson plugs.
And those things are solid. So for the price and the plugs that you get on those things, I'm sold on them. I think it's a great, like, it's not too expensive. It's not the highest end. It's not the lowest end, but everything's quality there. The app's great. I haven't had a single problem with them. I have no working relationship with them, but I love them. So.
Well, and one thing you said, Matt, that goes back to the mitigate out of aggravation is, you can get those Anderson quick plugs on Amazon. You can get them anywhere.
Yeah.
But setting your setup up with that, you pull in the garage, you unplug your battery, you plug in your charger, and you walk away. You're not unbolting it. You're not doing all that. There's a lot of things like that just help make it so much easier.
Yeah, I actually made a briefcase this year. It's like a Pelican briefcase. So when I'm on the road, I got an extension cord that goes out to the kayak outside on the trailer. I pull that briefcase up. I pull 2 of those Anderson connectors out. And then I got an extension cord in there for like GoPros and stuff too. But I just plug 1 and 2 into the kayak, and then it's good to go overnight, or hanging out at the campsite. Don't have to worry about it. Don't have to bring them inside. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had prior to switching from my Harbor Freight crate, I bought the modular one, so I had the Harbor Freight like work box that snaps in, kind of like the Milwaukee or DeWalt ones. And I actually built mine underneath my crate, and then I just latched it in, and then I could just add a handle, and I'd take it inside when I want, move it, leave it on if I wanted to. The Anderson connectors are really the way to go, definitely.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I'll ask the next question here about, have you ever regretted going too big or too small, Matt, on a kayak?
Yes. Yeah. The Ride 135, like that was just a different breed of kayak, but I had a 12-foot Hobie, and I had some friends that had the 14s, and I instantly wanted the 14 watching them. And then I feel like that 136 is good. I'll say the autopilots, every kayak's kind of laid out differently too. Like there is so much space in front of my legs on an autopilot compared to other ones. And I'm not just like buffing that one up. What I'm trying to get at is every kayak's kind of built a little bit differently. So I'd say like if you can sit in it and see like how much room you have, you might not have room for a captain's bridge, and you're like, I really want one. Well, if your pedal drive's right there, you might not be able to put one up.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit more than just how long it is. How wide it is also important. But for me, I like a little bit longer than a 12-foot. But there's some great. I might buy the PDL 120 Pros because that's a really cool one for the way it's laid out. So I think it just depends on who you are too. Also, I'm 6'2", and 220 pounds, so I'm a bigger guy. I fish against a guy that's he was on a PA 12, but he's a little 5-foot dude. weighing 150 wet, it's a lot different experience for him and me on the same kayak. So,
yeah. All right, that makes sense. Travis, what about you?
Yeah, I did. I started off that 128T, realized this was way too big for what I do, for what I want to do. I think Matt was spot on there with length is not as big of a deal when you're talking about setup. I think the XTR is too big for me, and the XTR is what, 12 foot 8 inches. So that's not a massive kayak if you're looking at the length, but it's massive everywhere else. So, I think that it's just fine tuning what you want. I mean, I know guys that the Blue Sky Boat Works is their dream boat, that they love it. And there's different things you can do with different kayaks, but just, get into a tournament series. I always tell people, even if you do not want to tournament fish and you're in the state of Kansas and you want to see what's out there, go to one of your tournaments, sign up for one, just go do it, because you're going to get more information at the boat ramp when it's all over and learn a ton. Because I always relate kayak fishing to bow hunting, because bass boat guys, those are gun hunters, and kayak guys are like bow hunters, because bow hunters want other bow hunters to do well. They want them to be successful. They'll tell them what they're doing. They'll talk about it. They'll try to help a guy get better. Kayaking's the same way. I think if you walk out on a boat ramp and there's kayakers out there, you'll talk.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you're new to the sport, get in a tournament. Just go get in one, not for the competitive part if you don't want, but the guys you'll talk to afterwards will help you a ton.
Yep. That's what we tell people too. Come to the award ceremony. I learn more stuff at the award ceremony than I do on the water.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, I had on all day and never used it. Sorry, Matt.
But yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, like, we've got something fun, but like there's two, three guys that I go fish for fun with a lot here, and they fish the tournament too. But if you've got like a group of guys that you like to go fish with, and you all have something different, we played with this idea. We haven't done it, but I think a cool concept is this: you go out and you're going to fish for 5 hours or however long. Every hour you have to change kayaks. So you're fishing out of someone else's setup that's completely different from you.
Rods and everything.
Yeah, rods.
Awesome.
If they have scope, if they don't, if they have a pedal drive, they have a motor, and figure it out. Please wear your life jacket if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But I think that's a cool. I think that's a cool way to figure out, like, because a lot of us, like, we're prideful and we're like, I got the best thing since sliced bread. But I guarantee if you sit in someone else's kayak for an hour, you're gonna be like, oh, I like where he put his net, or maybe it's just something small that you like,
Yeah, and it's hard to find, like, not what we found is there's just not very many people who do demos, and so that's been a huge deal for us. I had a guy drive up from Salina, Kansas, did a demo between 3 kayaks. He figured out exactly what he wanted. He said that, and it wasn't the one he come to look for either. It was just, we always say, pick a couple, and then we'll pick a couple, and then we'll go get on them. He ended up picking one of the ones that we showed him, and then did a full build on it and came back the next weekend and picked it up. And we've had guys come from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We've had guys, because they can actually get on, and we have, I don't want to sound conceited, but we have everything. We have, if you want to vibe, we've got Vibe, we've got, Hobie, Old Town, New Canoe, Jackson, Bonafide. We got all the brands. So it's just a good place to just go get in them.
Yeah. A direct quote from my wife is, "You are not taking the debit card with you to Lake of the Ozarks. So I have to use cash." I walked into a shop last year and I was like, "Oh, Tony, here, take my wallet."
Oh, yeah.
I think, what do you guys get? 9 or 10 different brands?
At least. And we've got more coming. I know we're going to have some of the new stuff that's coming out. We've had vendors already contacting us. And it's kind of nice because, like, when Old Town came out with the pros, we were the first shop in the country to have them. So we have a really good relationship with those folks, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, we'd love to do something like that here. We did something like that with one of the local shops two years ago. We had a demo day with one of the Hobie places, and we'd like to do that next year. Honestly, we'd like to be able to bring a bunch of kayaks, or Kansas City area or something like that.
Yeah.
Bring our kayaks out was what we did, and then they brought their kayaks out, and we'd love to have.
If you're doing it up that area, we can be part of it, and I'll bring a trailer load.
Yeah. Austin Applegate. He's the man when it comes to setting that kind of stuff up. So if he's listening tonight, we'll have to think about that before tournament season gets too heavy and the boats get all in the water and all that kind of stuff. So
I believe Austin's the one that got me signed up last year for the Big Bass 250.
he signed me up. He got me signed up as well.
I didn't even know about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm there.
He's like, you guys doing this or what? I'm like, doing what? And then I was reading, I think it was about 25 minutes from the time he told me about it to the time I already talked myself into doing the Big Bass. So I was like, I'm done. I'm signing up.
So we're already ready to go for this year. So,
well, and the most exciting thing about that tournament is pretty much this right here. I mean, we got guys from Kansas, a guy from Colorado, and a guy from Missouri who all know each other. We've met at that tournament.
Yep.
And a lot of times I do a lot of these podcasts, and it's a lot more fun when you've met a guy and you're going to meet him again in a few months, and get a shake hands and break bread. So it's a lot of fun and it's much appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get to call these people up and say, hey, can you be on our podcast? So, and they say yes. So that's pretty cool. So,
oh yeah.
We're helping anglers out, not just in Kansas, but all over, and growing that camaraderie and everything. It really is my favorite part because I'm not really that great at fishing. So I'm better at making friends, I guess.
That's the best thing about Caleb and Jared, the owners of Eco, is, we don't do recreational kayaks. We really focus on the angler and taking care of people. I mean, I am loaning out kayaks, batteries, seats, paddles, bunk boards. We loan all that stuff out. If anybody doesn't have anything, we've always kept everybody on the water, loaning out motors, loaning out everything just so people can fish the tournament. But
that's awesome.
That's what we want to do it for. It's about the angler. And, we have Hooked, the Kayak Anglers Resource, which is a forum that we do. And we do it's kind of different. We're not trying to sell you stuff. If you put a question out there on the forum, other anglers answer the question. And we ask a lot of our pro staffers like Matt to get involved. And we're not trying to sell you a kayak. We're trying to help you figure out whatever your issue is.
Where's that forum at? Where do you find that forum?
You can go on Eco Fishing Shop on our website, and there's a link to it there.
Nice.
And it's a Hook, the Kayak Anglers Resource, and we keep up on that really well. But we figure if you're not trying to always sell something, but you're just taking care of people, the sales come. We don't have to worry about that. And we've had great years, year after year, when we see other people are struggling, and we're just blessed to be doing what we're doing, and having the ownership that lets us do this.
And if someone's scared about coming down to the Big Bass 250, I mean, Tony and I walked into your shop and we felt like at home when we first walked in. You guys treated us well. I mean, it's not a super serious tournament. I mean, granted, there's a lot of money involved, but you just felt like you're welcome. You belong. If it's your first tournament, you need to get into it because, I mean, it's just great. So
we had a guy come from Little Rock, Arkansas, and he didn't even get on the water. He had all kinds of kayak problems, never even got on the water. And then he won a Hobie Outback.
Oh, wow.
At the deal. And now he's huge in it. I mean, he is fishing, but he won that kayak and never even got a kayak on the water. And we actually have 2 or 3 guys this year that said, I don't know if I'm going to fish it, but I'm definitely coming. So.
Yeah. Last year, I think it was like 7 kayaks or something they gave away. It was crazy. Like, it was just like, here's another kayak. Here's another kayak. And here's a motor. It's like, geez.
It'll be
got up and talked and gave a really like heartfelt speech. And then as soon as he got down, they picked up the raffle and he got, I remember that. Is that Trey?
That was amazing.
That was cool.
Trey Dawson. Yeah, that was very cool.
That was incredible.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And we're coming bigger this year.
That's cool.
all the kayaks are going to be top of the line ones, man.
Oh,
It's going to be good.
Cool.
You're getting me excited.
Yeah, that's the idea. So what you're telling me is I may have to sign up while I'm there for next year's to make sure I get a spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Shannon, thanks for watching.
Yeah,
So,
Shannon. He's got a
We're
new canoe. Shannon does, I believe, has a new canoe. Is that right?
yeah, he does with a Newport, I think, in the back. They were actually talking about we had a little local Tuesday night tournament last night, and we were just chatting. We hadn't really announced that we were doing this tonight, and somebody was talking about Eco Fishing Shop because they just got their Bonafide XTR.
Yeah.
We were checking it all out, and I was like, oh, they're going to be on the podcast tomorrow night. And then someone else mentioned actually your name, Matt, and I was like, well, he's going to be on the podcast tomorrow too. So your name is known far and wide.
That's good. Maybe.
All right. What other questions do you have, Tim?
I think that's it on my section here. I mean, we can skip over the next few if you want to get these guys off the line here.
Yeah. I do have a few just simple questions, kind of more for Travis, but what do you think are some of the main features of that, like, Walmart kayak versus a kayak they can get from you? I think I know the answer to this, but I'd like to hear that from you.
The biggest thing is like I tell people, and I had shown my wife this. We walk into Walmart and she's like, God, that looks really good. Well, squeeze it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the thickness and it's fit and finish. I mean, the way it's made, the quality of the components, that's going to be your biggest difference. When they're thin, a lot of people think that that's not as big a deal, but it is.
Hit a rock.
Well, and a thin kayak is going to bend. So that's why it doesn't track. So every time you paddle this side, it just twists. Well, that's because it's thin. And hull design. What I have learned a lot is the hull design is so amazing. The engineering involved, because if you get into New Canoe Unlimited and then you get into a New Canoe Frontier, they look alike. They are totally different in the water. And I think that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the quality, the engineering, and warranty as well. I mean, any of my domestic companies, I don't really have one that doesn't really take good care of their warranty people. So,
yeah, which is part of my next question. But hey, John, how's it going? He's actually the one that got the XTR from you a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Excellent, thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's a big kayak, but it's the storage on that thing is wow. So
he was actually doing cartwheels on it last night at the Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's nice.
I can do a cartwheel on steady ground.
Yeah, if you're interested in that, I just did a video on the XTR with the new Garmin Force Current on it.
Yeah.
Check out Eco Fishing Shop's YouTube. You'll see a lot of stuff on there. We try to do that. Try to review a lot of the kayaks and just give our honest opinion. That'd probably be the next thing I would tell people is be careful on the internet, because you don't know who got a free kayak for saying this is the best one ever, and so just try them out.
So Travis, what do you think about that current trolling motor? We've talked about it on our last podcast a little bit, but what about, initial
after using one, I'll say it's phenomenal. The price is up there, but when you start talking about the fact that like the Bluetooth foot controls, you're not doing any wiring. You literally could have an XTR and a Crescent Shoaly and take it off of one and put it on the other in 2 minutes, because it's all Bluetooth. You're not wiring it. So the ingenuity on it is pretty phenomenal. I was not sure about the spot lock on the stern, but I really liked it. And the foot controls are pretty amazing. There's several different programs you can set it up with. So you can change a lot of things on it. It does pair with your Garmin products. So I think it's pretty awesome.
Does it have a remote as well that you wear?
It does. It has the lanyard that you can wear around your neck or wherever, and that's just the same controls that just about everything has with your spot lock and all the stuff on it, and that's great. But the foot controls are just, I was pretty impressed with that.
That's cool.
And the turning ability. If you watch that video, it doesn't turn, it pivots, and it's amazing. I mean, you can spin just you can turn around anywhere.
That's awesome.
It looks like a zero turn, even the way the pedals move. It looks like you're on like a zero turn mower.
That on the video, Travis.
And that's one of the programs. You can set it up like a zero turn, or you can set it up more like New Canoes, where
his right, left is left.
Yeah, exactly. You can go heel toe it. You can change everything up. There's a couple little buttons you can click on the side where you can set your spot lock. And then there's one where you can click it where you can set it to where it goes to zero again. So you're not sitting there trying to get it exactly straight. You can hit a button, it'll go right to straight.
And it's about a mile an hour faster than a stern mount?
Yeah.
Or a bow mount?
Then a bow mount. Yeah.
I think I seen it did 5.1 on the Bonafide.
Yeah, the push and pull is definitely different, but I really liked it. I thought it was really well made, which is Garmin. So
yeah. Now you don't have to get the foot pedals necessarily.
No,
but you can upgrade them later.
Recommend them.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of functions to those that you don't think about, but it is something you can add on too. So it's not a big deal.
One more question for you. Did you see the new jet powered kayak coming out, or jet drive kayak coming out? Is that a gimmick, or you think it's going to be a real deal kind of thing?
I'll let you know when I get them.
Because I fish a lot of grass, and I'm thinking, even down in like Florida and stuff, if you go down there, you just go over everything and not have to worry about anything. I don't know. It's just something amazing to me.
I think it could be good. I am one of those guys that I'm not going to give an opinion on it until I put my hands on it.
Yeah.
Because it's all going to be based on hull design.
Yeah.
I think the concept of the motor being there is great for grass and for river guys, but it's going to depend on what that hull performance is. And until I get one on the water, I don't know. So I think it's a great idea. For guys that think that they're going to be a lot faster, still not a lot faster.
Yeah.
I think they said 7 mile an hour. I think it's got a great price point. But I hope it's meets the billing.
Yeah.
What's
cautiously optimistic?
What's some of the standard warranties offered for kayaks on like the hulls and stuff like that? Is it usually about 3 years or?
Yeah, Hobie's pretty Old Town's pretty awesome. They've got a lifetime hull warranty.
Oh wow.
5-year warranty on mechanics, pedal drives, motors, that kind of thing. So Old Town is pretty legit. But most of them, are going to be the 3 to 5. Yeah,
I was not aware of that on Old Town, and these conversations we're having tonight are really making me want to lean that way.
Well, and I'll tell you, Old Town, I brag about this all the time. Old Town's the only company I've ever had that I have called them to talk to them about a pedal drive that we had that had a problem. In the 4 years we've been there, the one pedal drive we ever had a problem with, and they were almost offended. Like they figured out exactly who put that together, exactly what day it was, and went all through it, and come to find out at the end it was the customer who actually put it on wrong. But Old Town warranty is just very, very impressive.
No, that's important. So, and I know you guys offer a lot of rigging service, and Jonathan does a lot of that. You pretty much offer to rig anything you sell.
Yep. And one thing that we do is if you buy it from me, we rig it for free. So like the guy that came up from Salina, that was the thing. He had found out about that. He drove up, picked everything he wanted, picked his fish finder, picked everything, went through a build sheet with Jonathan, and it was done. He came and picked it up. I had a guy come and pick up 3 kayaks completely built out from Indiana last week. And and it's because after he bought all the products, I mean, he could literally take that and go straight to the water with it because we built it from the ground up. And Jonathan is one of the best builders. He was my best customer, and then ended up bringing him on because his building ability is great. And it's because he does it for, it's what he does. He loves it. But we do everything the right way.
Let's be honest. He just came to work for you because he couldn't afford it anymore.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Matt, what about you? Do you rig your own stuff up, or do you have someone do it? Or
I do. I was gonna actually talk to Travis and Jonathan. The next one, I think I'm gonna probably see if Jonathan will do for me because I'm going all out on the next one. But I'd say on like the rigging stuff, it's important to know like what parts you need. Not so much if you're like staying local, but I see it all over, the message boards or stuff that, once you get to like the national
First
event,
alert, Chief Meteorologist Ron Hurst, a new station alert.
There you go.
Sorry, that's me.
No, you're good. I think once you get to like the national stuff, if you're I'll say this, if you're trailing, I think you've got a lot more vibrations on your kayak as well. That's something that I do is when I'm traveling longer distances, if you can Loctite your stuff, that's nice for bolts. But I got the Havasu. I had a bolt that had come out, and some of these bolts can be a little specific. So, I mean, if you've got an Ace Hardware or something around that, or a hardware store that you can go to and pick them up, cool. But if you can take the time when you first get your kayak and know like, hey, I need this exact 1/4-20 bolt of this length for whatever, and just pack a couple spares of those in a bag for you, like with your spare kit or something. That could go a long way too, because now you're taken care of. And, even if they overnight it to you, if you lost something for like your steering and you don't have a hardware store because the tournament's in the middle of nowhere, they can only take care of you as much as they can overnight that thing to you. And they'll do that a lot of times, but I think it's on us to know what we actually need when we go out there. And if you're taking like a 9 to 12-hour trip, maybe every time you get gas, just have a screwdriver and, tighten some bolts up and see how things are. That's what I would say. But as far as warranty stuff I'm on Old Town's pro staff, so I don't really even want to talk about it. Like Travis kind of mentioned, there's guys, I'd say watch out for the people that are, they show up with one motor and then a year later they're bragging about another one and they were bragging about that other one. And they're not really saying that there was something wrong. Be careful with people like that. If there's a proper way to have a relationship with a brand, and you can sniff out pretty quickly if people aren't doing it right. So, but yeah, I agree with everything Travis was saying there. So
very nice. Yeah, I pretty much just if something doesn't work, I sell it to Tony. He usually buys it for me. So, yeah, it works great.
I get his hand-me-downs ever since he's older than I am, so I've been getting hand-me-downs since I was like 3.
No, what happens is I'm the one that tries it out. Then I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. And then like a week later, I see it on his kayak. I'm like, what the heck, dude? I can't be my own self here. We have the exact same setups.
So, have you found your last kayak like you pretty solid, sold? Like you're gonna stick with the Old Town that you're using now for a while, like maybe a different one, but the same style?
No, not at all. I just so I'm I'm in the military. I'm actually going to deploy for most of like the off season into the beginning of next year. So I actually just sold my kayak, which is cool because like you get to see guys build that up differently than how I had it built, which is kind of cool to watch. And but I don't know what I'm going to get yet. I don't know if Old Town will have something new come out while I'm gone. I don't know. That 120 Pro looks pretty sick. So right now that's like where I'm leaning. But man, you get into this, it's like drugs, like you're never satisfied and you're just going to keep hitting the next thing. That's a terrible analogy, but I think this is a way better addiction that we have. But yeah, I don't think there's a forever kayak. I think these kayaks, you could definitely buy a kayak today and have it for 10 years, no problem. But for me, I'm just the type of person I kind of want the next thing, and I want to keep building them out. It's just me.
And then you see people doing different things with them. Like I've got the autopilot. I love it. I've got a Jackson Bite that I use for the river. My wife's got a Old Town Sonata. But I think I'm going to build out an unlimited. I want to get an unlimited. I want to put an NK on the back and a Minn Kota on the front. And I want it because I've got a couple of grandkids and I want to be able to put 2 people in it. So,
Nice.
you know, like you said, it's, you see something that you want to do and you just try to figure it out.
And I think Shannon said that new canoes have a lifetime warranty as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very nice. Yeah. I've had my Hobie PA14 for 3 years now, and man, it's hard to go from that one. I been on 4-foot waves, and I feel safe in it. And I don't know. You have to. I could try an Old Town out, I guess, but that Hobie, I don't know.
Man, if you're worried about stability, don't be, because that.
Yeah.
Man, I got in Austin's. I stepped off the dock and instantly I was like, "What?" Like like I stepped off the dock to it, and I was just like, "This is." Like I was surprised that like it didn't even move.
Yeah.
So
I will say you're talking about, not wanting to have your pedal drive go out, or like, man, if my motor goes out, I gotta have a pedal drive. I went through 3 of the other pedal drives I had on my last kayak, and I've never had a problem with my motor. And I was stranded with those. So I know they've fixed a lot of that issue that was out there, but that's just part of it too. You're gonna have things go wrong, but hopefully you have a company that's reputable and they'll take care of you and stand by you. So
yeah, that's really important too. So I keep things for quite a while. I don't switch out a lot. So I mean, I've got an old used one I've had for 3 years. So I expect I'd like to buy me a brand new one because I use it a lot. So I'm hoping that I can figure that out next year. I've got my kind of going 2-3 ways, but things change quickly, and just kind of decide what the best for me is. And I figured if I can sell my kayak, I take some of that money and that goes towards a new kayak. But that's actually what takes me to my next question, which is, what kayaks do you think have some of the best resale value? What's the Toyota of the kayak industry?
I would have to say New Canoe and Old Town, probably the 2 best. I mean, Hobie does well, but the initial investment on Hobie is so high that you're not getting that. Buying a used Hobie, you can turn around and make your money. I think probably the hardest thing on Hobie is a lot of people will find a Hobie and it's missing a seat or missing the drive, and they think they've got something. Those parts are so expensive.
$4 million.
I had a guy who bought at a garage sale for like $500 a PA14, no seat, no drive. And I said, "Yep, you're
$2,500.
Another $2,500, and you've got a used kayak." So
hopefully he can find the other parts at a garage sale somewhere else and put it together.
That's what I told him. But I think Old Towns, any kayak that's got a following, when you've got there are New Canoe guys that they are New Canoe guys. There's Old Town guys, there's Hobie guys, and Bonafide's really starting to happen like that too. And then more for the river, the Jackson guys. But I think it's just finding that brand that suits you.
Yeah.
Well, we've kept you on quite a while. Tim, did you have any closing questions for him? Or
No, guys, stick on after the show. We'll talk to you for a minute after the show. But I appreciate you guys coming on. It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, it always is, and appreciate you guys. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there that get a lot of use out of this podcast too, and they're going to be grateful even if they don't know it yet. So
and come to Eco. Anything you need, go to Eco because
they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So
that hooked kayak angler resource is awesome. A lot of times stuff gets lost on like a Facebook thread, or you don't know where to search for stuff. It's kind of like an old school forum where everything's actually sorted out. Like if you're an Old Town guy, go to the Old Town site. If you're New Canoe, go to New Canoe, and we lose them. But you can start going down the tabs there and look at stuff, and it's a lot easier to kind of search that stuff. So that'd be a good resource if something wasn't brought up here.
Very nice.
His battery probably went dead. He probably wasn't expecting us to stay on this long.
Oh no.
So yeah, thank you, Matt, so much for coming on.
Thank you, Matt.
It's great having you. I hope. Did you get rid of your trailer too?
I've got a new one being built right now, so it's
nice.
something new coming out next year. Yeah.
And man, stay safe over there too.
Yeah,
Thanks.
definitely.
Thanks,
And I know you got some shout out, Matt Collins Fishing. You got any other shout outs like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube?
Yeah, pretty easy to find me at Matt Collins Fishing, YouTube, Instagram, there's Facebook page as well. And then sponsor wise, Old Town, obviously a big one. Eco Fishing Shop, Eagle Claw, and Trocar. Those are really like my big ones. I try to, if as much as I can, if it's an American made company, I try to rep those brands because it means a lot more. I'm kind of doing like a series on that stuff right now. It's kind of the people behind the brand, so it's way more.
Nice.
But yeah, those three are huge. And then the Army Outdoors team's another thing. So I'm one of 4 people, I think, right now that gets to fish for the Army, which is pretty cool. So shout out to the Army or all of you guys for paying your taxes so I can go do some tournaments. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. I better get on that. No. So yeah, well, thank you for that. And for Eco Fishing Shop, just in case Travis can't get back on, make sure you check out ecofishingshop.com. Check out all their kayaks, all their gear. If you're going to the Big Bass 250, definitely worth it. Just make sure you don't beat me, and let me get that $10,000 big fish. And it's a lot of fun, though. It really is. I highly recommend it if you haven't done it. And check out their social media page. And they also, Travis texted me, oh, they lost power, so they must be getting.
Oh no.
So check that out. Go sign up for it if you haven't already. Get a free paddle to the end of September. And I think that's about it. Thanks, John. I'm glad you got to watch it and hope you enjoyed the show. And and thanks for watching On the Line. Check out Tim's YouTube channel. It's Wheat State Dude. Check out my YouTube channel called Random Likes. Make sure you like and subscribe for future podcasts like this. And hopefully we'll be having you on when you get back for some big win, Bassmaster, something.
We'll do it.
And, Tim, anything else you want to add?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you on the next podcast.